Hi everyone, it's Marianne and welcome to my Wasteless Life. And now that we're at the end of 2021, let me share with you some of my unpopular plant opinions. Thank you so much for watching me today, and if you're new, this is my Wasteless Life, where I take you along my plant and sustainable lifestyle journey and share with you some of my tips and tricks along the way. So this video is inspired by a TikTok that I did. I answered or stitched someone who asked, what are your plant parent opinions that would put other plant parents in a tizzy? And I gave like 3 of them, but the thing is with TikTok, you can only stitch up to 60 seconds, and I really had to like edit what I say, and there's a couple more that I kind of want to talk about. So I thought about doing a YouTube video on it. And also last year I did a video on plant trends I hate over Vlogmas/Plantmas last year, and that is actually one of the popular or the most popular one that I did over Plantmas last year. I know Harley also just did a video on her unpopular plant opinions, maybe also some plant YouTubers. So I just don't want to get accused of like copying content or anything, although I don't think they care. But before I start, I do want to share what inspired me to make this video. But yeah, so my very first unpopular plant opinion is when it comes to fertilizing. And I did a video earlier this year on to stop over fertilizing our houseplants, because especially this time of year, people like to debate on whether you should fertilize your plants or not over the winter season. Some say no. I'm on the side that is no. And some people say yes, you should still fertilize your houseplants if they're still growing and whatnot, even though if it's the winter season. So if you want to fertilize your plants or not over winter season, that's between you and your plants. But my unpopular opinion when it comes to that is we focus too much on the fertilizing aspect, especially during this time of year, and not on the water and lighting that we provide our houseplants during this time of year or any time of the year, to be honest. Because what our plants need in order to survive and thrive is 2 things: water and light. Those are the 2 things that they need for photosynthesis, to provide food from themselves and to grow and be healthy. So it doesn't matter if we fertilize them regularly or fertilize them with the best fertilizer that we can find in the market. It doesn't matter if we are not watering our plants properly and we're not giving them the proper amount of light. And the reason that I am against fertilizing plants over winter time, even though some of my plants do still keep growing, is because they're not receiving the same amount of light that they do over winter. And as a result, I also am not watering them as often. So pumping them with fertilizer over this time when they barely have access to water and light is not a good thing for my houseplants, in my opinion. And continuing on fertilizing them during this time could lead to over-fertilizing, even if you don't think you're giving them too much fertilizer, because they are not using up those nutrients. Because sometimes when our plants push out new growth or they push out flowers even, it's not a sign of them thriving. It's a sign of them struggling and not having access to water and light, and not because they don't have access to fertilizer. And my second unpopular plant opinion, and I'm guilty of doing this, is individuals should stop importing plants. The only ones should be allowed to import plants are licensed plant dealers, growers, and nurseries. And regular plant people like us should not be allowed to import plants at any quantity, because in the US right now, if you don't have import license or you don't have a plant dealer license or a growing license, you can import plants under 12 at a time. If you order more than 12 plants or import more than 12 plants, you have to have an import permit and a growing permit and all of that. But the reason that I say that we should be banned from importing plants, because it's been getting out of hand. And I know I imported plants this year. It didn't work out quite too well for me. Even though last year I already made a pledge to never import plants anymore, I still did it this year and regretted it, because I should have listened to my old self that I should stop importing plants. And also importing plants have led to poaching, and it also have led to displacement of a lot of houseplants. And also nowadays, a lot of the plants that are being imported, especially from Asia, are not from legitimate nurseries or growers, and we don't really know how they are sourcing their plants. So that is the main concerns on why I say that individuals should not be allowed to import plants anymore, especially with the pandemic over the last 2 years. I don't know if people realize this or not. The laws have changed when it comes to importing and shipping plants, even within the US. A lot of regulations have changed or has been updated. I know in California and in Washington, they have been a lot stricter when it comes to shipping plants, even within mainland. And they already had really strict regulation when it comes to bringing in and bringing out agricultural products from Hawaii. And yes, I get they're just regulations and policies. Some are more strongly enforced than others. A lot of them don't have legal binding, but those are put in place just because for the safety of everyone. It's not just to stop people from importing plants when they're not supposed to. And also shipping rules have also changed a lot when it comes to shipping plants just within mainland. I think if you don't want to get yourself in trouble, be updated on those laws, especially from your state and to the states that you're trying to ship plants on, whether you're selling them or you're just plant trading with people when it comes to shipping plants and importing plants in general. Just be very mindful of the current laws because they're changing all the time and they're getting updated all the time, especially nowadays. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised that there's going to be an incident big enough to cause actual regulation on the federal level to stop plant imports by individuals who are not licensed. My third unpopular plant opinion is plant hobby or plant collecting is not an inherently eco-friendly or sustainable hobby. Just because we're dealing with houseplants doesn't mean our hobby is a very sustainable hobby or an eco-friendly hobby. And with the houseplant hobby becoming more mainstream, especially in the past couple of years, and to be quite frank, the plant buying and plant collecting aspect of the plant hobby is more popular than any other aspect of the plant hobby. It has really contributed to the wastefulness and the harmful impacts of the houseplant hobby to our environment and to our community as a whole. Because first off, a lot of the products that we use for our houseplants, a lot of them might not be as eco-friendly as we think, from the plastics that come in the packaging of the items that we use for our plants, whether that is the soil or fertilizers or anything that we use to help us maintain and take care of our plants, and also the fertilizers that we use ourselves. The water runoff with fertilizers that we use are not great for our drainage and our sewage, and also just the shipping and importing plants, as mentioned, is also not very environmentally friendly. And I know it's a bit hypocritical to be pointing out the problems and issues with shipping plants, whether importing them or just within mainland, when we do ship and order a lot of stuff online, not just with houseplants. But I think as plant enthusiasts and plant hobbyists, there's more onus on us to be more conscious of our carbon footprint when it comes to activities or anything that we do in relation to our plant hobby. And my next unpopular opinion when it comes to houseplants is the houseplant community is dying sentiment. And I don't know if that is being said for shock value or just for clickbait, but it's just the way things go. Things are going back to normal. Like with anything, when you had a peak like we did over the pandemic, it's going down now and it's just things going back to normal. It doesn't mean it is dying or whatever. It's just things are just leveling out. And with anything that you are interested or hyper interested in, you lose some of the mainstream interest on it. And it's just the core people who are really into said hobby will be still in it, but that doesn't mean the entire thing is dying. And I, for one, I'm very happy for it to be normalizing a little bit, just because it prevents from people scamming new plant beginners, because that's what is my main concern over the past 2 years. A lot of people scamming the new house plant beginners and in turn turning them off from the plant hobby because they're being sold overpriced plants and they're being told information that are inaccurate. And when it comes to inaccurate information, I can get that because everyone has a learning curve. But I know a big complaint over the past 2 years is also the overinflation of houseplant prices. And I think that's one of the biggest negative effect of the houseplant hobby becoming mainstream in the last 2 years is the overinflation of houseplant prices. But now that it's normalizing a bit, we see those prices starting to go down and normalize a bit as well, which is great for everyone, and especially for those who are really committed to the houseplant hobby. They can get the plants that they want at a reasonable price again and not the overinflated price of houseplants, which leads me to my next unpopular opinion. People who complain about prices being overinflated or prices of plants being way too high are the same people who keep buying those plants that are priced way too high or overinflated. Plant sellers can get away with those ridiculous high amount of prices because there are plant buyers who are willing to pay for them. And going back to houseplant beginners getting scammed by high prices, I am not blaming them because they don't know. And the thing is, a lot of the complaints that I'm hearing when it comes to high plant prices are from people who have been collecting plants for a very long time. So instead of helping new plant beginners or educating plant beginners on plant prices and helping them not get scammed by high inflation of plant prices, we just get mad at them and get mad at the high prices instead of helping educate the new plant beginners and the new plant parents in helping them navigate the houseplant market. And us houseplant oldies cannot also wash our hands off when it comes to the increasing plant prices, because the plant beginners were looking up to us when it comes to learning more about houseplants. So if we are not teaching them about plant pricing and the houseplant market, we also have ourselves to blame for that, and not just the new plant beginners who were buying plants at very high prices because they didn't know any better. So yeah, those are my unpopular plant opinions in 2021. I don't mean to offend anyone with those opinions. Again, those are opinions and opinions of my own. And if you disagree, I get it. I'd be happy to hear in the comments as well. And if you have any other unpopular opinions you want to share, I would also love to hear them down in the comments. Let me know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new here, please do subscribe. I come up with videos every week. And if you haven't yet, check out these videos up here until my next one. But until then, I see you. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself and each other, and have a plentiful end of 2021. What a way to end 2021, huh? Bye.
Maybe I've been going nowhere lately. It's time to start all over and go.